He wants to be a participant in it.
Well, coming up tonight on WTOL 11 Plus, now the president making a special announcement.
Changes are coming for the U.S. Space Command. We'll tell you where its new headquarters will be located.
They will be telling their story, and they will be saying clearly to the American public that they want the release of the Epstein files for full closure on this matter.
Plus, back on Capitol Hill, lawmakers return to Washington today. And in fact, there is a long list of items to discuss. They are also renewing their push for answers on convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
And changes are coming to ChatGPT. This comes after the parents of a teen who killed himself filed a lawsuit against OpenAI. What parents need to know.
Welcome into WTOL 11 Plus. Now, Toledo's only local live, full 30-minute exclusively streaming newscast only on WTOL 11 Plus. I'm Jeff Smith.
And I'm Kaylee Marintet. Monarch Comic Bookstore in South Toledo faced a serious challenge after a strip mall fire last December.
Boy, we all remember the scene, how it played out, Kaylee. And for the last 10 months, Monarch Comics had operated at a temporary site as repairs on the original location took place. But those repairs are now complete as they prepare to move back into their original location full-time. Reporter Jack Crum caught up with the owner today, who says better days are ahead.
Almost 1 year after a fire cost Monarch Comics their home, Heroes will soon return to the shelves in South Toledo. In December 2024, a fire at Colonial Village Shopping Plaza got right up to the doorstep of Monarch Comics store. Owner Ed Katchke says the fire never engulfed the store, but efforts to put out smoldering pieces next door meant damage was done to the front of the building.
Unfortunately, it cracked our roof. And that's what really destroyed the unit, was all the water that came, cascading in after that.
The results were devastating. He says the water destroyed 70% of the stock. And following the fire, they operated out of a building next door, but the temporary unit was just a third the size of the original store.
It's very difficult to describe the sensation of walking into a store that's been your life work and seeing it all completely destroyed.
But now it's on to the next chapter, and it's looking bigger and brighter, with repairs to the original building finished and even a sticker on the door.
We have to hang slat wall, we have to build bookshelves, we have to mark out where we want everything to go. Once that's done, it'll be a very quick process of simply moving all this stuff that's left over there and just reopen it.
Monarch Comics is looking to have a soft reopening by the end of September. Proof that comeback stories don't just live in the pages of comics. They happen in the places selling them, too.
Building a store from the ground up, kind of rising phoenix like from the ashes, it's a new thing, and I'm just kind of taking it one step at a time.
Jack, this fire, I'll tell you what, for parts of South Toledo, especially this entire complex, losing a bar, losing this facility, it was a big hit, and I'm sure it was a big hit for them. Talk about the emotions of kind of the interview. You as a journalist going out there and talking to these guys, what you were sensing.
Yeah, Jeff, I talked to the owner, and I mean, you're talking about 70% of stock that was lost in really just a 2-hour stretch, and it wasn't even because of the fire for them, it was because of the water trying to get the fire out. Yeah. Right, so you look at it like that, and it was quite emotional speaking with them. The owner had told me that it even took him a couple days to really gather himself until they moved to that temporary spot. But obviously emotional for him, I'm sure for everyone in that complex what happened.
This is such a niche thing for them, and obviously their customers who seek out what kind of materials they can bring into their store, some of them classic, some of them a little bit archaic. You can't find these things in certain places. Did they use the word devastation or devastating as far as what this fire did to them?
They did, yeah, and it was devastating, right? When you're talking about comics, which I'm sure in some cases some are rather old, some are ones that they were, saving, whatever else, and all of those gone, especially for the people who enjoy them as well. But luckily they were able to get back on their feet within a week. They were at a temporary spot, and although it was smaller, they were able to stay in business and continue that weekly stretch.
So I want you, and I love doing this when we talk stories and our story coverage and coming up in the morning meeting, I want you to take our viewers back to the morning meeting. And when you guys discuss this topic, how did you build the story idea to go out? What things were said? What did you plan on addressing once you got with these folks?
Yeah, Jeff, so this had been in the works for really a couple days now, right? So I called them earlier this week, and they were like, you know what, we're in the final home stretch of this. Come on out. So the entire time, the last couple of days, I'm thinking about how can I kind of separate this, and I really didn't know how I was going to.
Because we've done updates.
Right. And you don't want to just do another update, you know, an update to an update to an update. So I wanted to kind of separate it, make it a little bit different as a story. And I feel like I've kind of achieved that just by, you know, kind of weighing into the emotions of not only losing it, right, but now gaining it back 10 months later.
So what did you see when you went out there?
So I went to their temporary shop. Everything was still up right there. I, you know, saw a lot of Spider-Man, Superman comics, right? And then we walked over to their original spot, and the original spot is completely brand new, right? White walls. It's, you know, still needs shelves up, you know, all that good stuff, but the vision is there. And now they, you know, the building is done, the building is repaired, and now they can kind of move towards that next step over the next month of continuing to fill it back up and, you know, hopefully getting business up and running by next month.
So still some stuff to do on the checklist. Jack, we appreciate the update. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
We are tracking these stories making headlines around the world and across the country right now. Southwest Airlines is the first airline in the U.S. to install a new barrier to protect pilots. Also, changes may be coming to ChatGPT, what parents need to know. And Congress is back on Capitol Hill after a summer recess. What's on the agenda? But first, President Donald Trump making an announcement from the White House today.
And I am thrilled to report that the U.S. Space Command headquarters will move to the beautiful locale of a place called Huntsville, Alabama.
President Donald Trump had planned to move locations during his first term, but former President Biden decided to keep it in Colorado, where its temporary headquarters were located. The main mission of the agency is to defend U.S. interests in space, such as the satellites that U.S. forces use for navigation, communications, and surveillance. The president says it will also take part in creating a missile defense shield.
In Huntsville, Space Com will play a key role in building the Golden Dome, as you know. That's going to be a big thing. Everybody wants to be a participant in it.
By moving to Huntsville, it will be closer to other space agencies. Redstone Arsenal in Huntsville is also home to NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center, U.S. Army Space and Missile Defense Command, and the Missile Defense Agency. Congress has returned from its summer recess, and there's a lot on the agenda. Survivors arrived on Capitol Hill for closed-door meetings with lawmakers investigating convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. House Speaker Mike Johnson has said he would prefer the DOJ handle the case, while lawmakers focus on other issues, including the budget, which must be passed by the end of the month. President Trump's federal takeover of D.C. police is set to expire next week unless Congress extends it. This morning, a federal judge ruled Trump violated the law when he deployed the National Guard and Marines to the streets of L.A. in June. OpenAI says parental controls are coming to ChatGPT within the next month. This announcement comes after the parents of a 16-year-old in Ohio killed himself, filed a lawsuit against OpenAI. The suit alleges ChatGPT advised the teen on his suicide. Controls will include options for parents to link their accounts with their teens and manage how ChatGPT responds to teen users. In addition, conversations with signs of acute stress will route to a reasoning model that follows and applies safety guidelines more consistently. Southwest Airlines says its new planes are now equipped with a barrier to protect the cockpit when pilots need to open their door during a flight. Southwest is one of the first U.S. airlines to use it. The secondary barrier resembles a gate more than it does a solid door. Aviation labor unions have been calling for these types of barriers ever since the September 11th terror attacks.
An early September cool down is going to be headed our way. Highs normally near 80 degrees. We'll fall back into the 60s for the weekend. We'll preview that coming up next.
Also, it's being called a sight out of this world, what NASA captured from outer space and how often it happens. Well, I'm sure you already know about WTOL 11 Plus being an exclusive streaming platform, but do you follow us on social media? Right now, there's a video that you've got to see on our TikTok page. Sophia Pericone breaks down the changes coming for Ohio drivers.
There are big changes coming for Ohio drivers. Starting September 30th, anyone under 21 will have to take the same driver's ed program that 16 and 17-year-olds take. That means 24 hours of classroom or online learning, 8 hours behind the wheel with an instructor, and 50 practice hours with an adult and 10 at night. Before this law, if you were 18 or older, you could just skip driver's ed completely and go right to taking the test. But now, thanks to a change in Ohio's state budget, that's no longer the case. So if you're 18, 19, or 20 and now planning on getting your license, get ready for some extra training. Click the drop down to find a link to the full story.
And you can find that on our TikTok page, the WTOL 11 TikTok page. There's plenty to watch, including the latest stories that are being talked about both locally and nationally. Nobody had the winning Powerball numbers last night, so that jackpot, that big doozy of a jackpot, now grows to $1.3 billion. The next chance to win is going to be Wednesday. According to the Multi-State Lottery Association, at least 2 tickets won some cash, big cash. They were sold in Montana and North Carolina to the tune of $2 million. Now, if somebody wins the jackpot, they can receive the $1.3 billion over 30 years or a one-time lump sum of more than $500 million. That is all before taxes. Well, check this out. An astronaut, yes, an astronaut, he said, captured a rare light show from space. Usually the northern lights have a little more of a greenish hue, but one astronaut, NASA astronaut, captured that amazing crimson-lined aurora orbiting the Earth. Red auroras like this one only happen 2 or 3 times during a 6-month mission to the International Space Station. Back here on Earth, the northern lights were seen across several states and parts of Canada. It was a
G2, which is a strong-ish geomagnetic storm, fell just short of that G3 strength, which typically would push the northern lights down into Ohio and lower Michigan. I had a few faint reports, and again, it's one of those things you kind of pull the camera phone out, you think, I think I see it.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe I see it.
It was late? How late?
Between about 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. is where most of the reports came in. But to see it from outer space, that was very cool.
He had quite a good seat.
Yeah, and the colors, too, is dictated by what the energy is interacting with in the atmosphere. Nitrogen, oxygen, all that kind of stuff that kind of illuminates the different colors.
Yeah, way too much science for me.
I have to take a deep breath after that one. All right, looking at our temperatures across the area, falling back now as we go through the peak heating of the day, close to 80 degrees across Toledo, down toward Findlay and over toward Defiance. Really hard to come away with anything that was complained about today, although the dry conditions that we do have would beg for the fact that we do need some rain. So dry conditions is still what we have on Doppler radar. And if we widen the view out, just a few fair weather clouds. It is going to be a clear, calm, and cooler night tonight, tipping back into the 50s. Sort of in that routine, if you need the sweatshirt or light jacket in the morning, you're going to need it again tomorrow morning. Sending the kids out the door to school, and it could still be that fresh week of school for the kids up in Michigan. If we're now back into session now, 50s going to be expected. A cool start to the day with sunshine through about lunchtime. So outdoor recess, I have no issues with the weather. It is going to be in the upper 70s and low 80s as clouds begin to increase after school. Even after school sports likely to remain dry. So I'll put this in motion hour by hour rest of the evening tonight. We have clear skies overhead tonight into tomorrow morning. The nearest chance we could get a few rain showers. This is going to be right around 7 p.m. So about 24 hours out from this very moment. We're going to get some isolated showers. It will come ahead of a cold front, and those showers will bring at least some rain for a few hours. We'll soak up what we can get, but this is still looking around 1/4 to 1/2 an inch of total rain. Here's a clock just after 9 o'clock. This could be our best chance of rain Wednesday night into early Thursday. Once that front comes through Thursday morning by daybreak, it's very likely we could be mainly dry. So much of the rain we do get occurs after dark Wednesday and ends before sunrise Thursday. Then a cooler feel Thursday, some mixed clouds and sunshine with highs that get close to 70 degrees. So it takes us to a step towards some cooler weather. There's the 50s to start our day Wednesday. Bright skies all morning. Clouds will begin to increase into the afternoon. We will edge into the lower 80s. Mark my word, I think this is going to be the warmest Wednesday in the entire 10-day forecast. We're going to be in the upper 60s. Sample of the cooler weather that arrives for the upcoming weekend. 68 Saturday, upper 60s on Sunday, and both weekend days likely to be mainly dry with that cooler fall chill that will be with us. From 82 on Wednesday, chance we get some rain near or after dark. So all day long we're going to be dry. Back to 70 on Thursday, a chance we get some showers, especially early in the morning, but the day will largely be dry. Then it turns windy on Friday. Another system, this is kind of like a secondary cold front, punches into the area. It'll briefly spike us back into the 70s, low 70s. But winds could gust 30 to 40 miles per hour through the day Friday, and that may impact Friday night football games with the windy weather. 68 degrees as more cooler air settles in Saturday and into Sunday. Sweatshirts and light jackets for the weekend, back into the low 70s as we get into Monday and Tuesday. Mid 70s by Tuesday, and then a few additional rain chances out there on Wednesday. But overall, we're going to settle back into the mid 70s to round out that 10-day forecast.
So as you were walking up, you were staggering a little bit.
Still to come on WTOL 11 Plus now, a Wallbridge officer is out of a job. He was fired and now charged for allegedly showing up to a call drunk. Tonight, we're getting a first look at the body cam video from that night.
Plus, a Toledo father accused of killing his teenage daughter. Darnell Jones is currently awaiting trial. And new tonight, we're getting a look at recently filed court documents that reveal evidence prosecutors turned over to his attorneys.
And take a look, that intersection right there where that blue car just about got T-boned, that's Secor in Queenswood. There have been a number of accidents reported here since last year. We're going to tell you what changes drivers want to see. Great to have you with us here for WTOL 11 Plus now.
We're breaking down your top stories tonight.
So here's the thing. They think you may be drinking. I can smell alcohol on you.
A Wallbridge police officer is out of a job and facing charges for allegedly showing up to a call drunk. 11 Investigates obtained this Lake Township police body camera video from August 23rd. You can see an officer approach Officer Michael Irvin and tell him they think you might be drinking. The people who originally called for help also called to report Irvin was intoxicated when he showed up. Officer Irvin's breath test showed he was allegedly more than twice the legal limit allowed to drive. The Walbridge mayor tells 11 Investigates Officer Irvin was fired and is charged with disorderly conduct, obstructing official business, OVI, and having a weapon while intoxicated.
We're learning new information tonight about the case against a Toledo man accused of murdering his teen daughter, Kimani Lateague. Court documents recently filed in the prosecution of Darnell Jones show some of the evidence prosecutors have turned over to his attorneys as part of the discovery process. There are 27 items, including cell phone data, phone analysis, camera footage, and investigative reports. One item that caught our eye, it's a video of a female saying that Kimani was pregnant. We reached out to the Lucas County coroner about whether there was evidence of a pregnancy during her autopsy. Now, the coroner did reiterate that Kimani died of multiple cuts to the neck, but could not offer any further details because of the case. It's still being prosecuted. However, he did say no gross evidence of pregnancy was identified, meaning no identifiable placenta or fetus, and that a pregnancy test was not performed. Thus, a very early gestation was not tested for, end quote. Now, Jones is charged with several crimes, including the murder and rape of Kimani. We also reached out to the prosecutor's office. We did not get a comment.
Some West Toledo neighbors are concerned about one intersection. They say it's dangerous and next to impossible to make a left-hand turn. Queenswood and Secor is right across the street from the Quality Inn and Texas Roadhouse. People who live in the area say depending on the time of day, it can be extremely difficult to make a left-hand turn onto Secor or from Secor onto Queenswood. Toledo police traffic reports show there have been almost a dozen crashes at this intersection in just the last year. Some of the people who live in the neighborhood say they end up making a right-hand turn and finding somewhere else to turn around, or they'll take a longer route. Drivers say they would like to see some change at the intersection, whether it's a light or no left turns.
I would see a light, just even for a couple seconds, just to let people out. That's all you need, really. You know, so people can stop for a few seconds, let the other people go, and then continue. That's all you need.
We did reach out to the city, and representatives say they know there have been issues at that intersection. In a statement, city officials say they are reviewing data and options for reimagining the Secor corridor near I-475.
12 people are in the running to fill 6 at-large Toledo City Council seats. The election is November 4th, and until that point, WTOL 11 is introducing you to each candidate. This week, we sat down with current at-large council member and council president Carrie Hartman. Hartman was appointed to council in January of 2023, then officially elected by voters later that year. If voters re-elect Hartman to her at-large seat, she says she wants to focus on lifting up Toledo's neighborhoods.
They may be a little bit too blighted for a brand new family to move into, or the neighborhood may need some proper investment like tree trimming and lawn mowing and new streets and curbs and sewers. And so those are the things that I'm really excited to do, the work in the community, in the neighborhoods, to really clean things up and make it the most desirable community for people to want to live, to work, to raise their kids, to retire, whatever they want to do in Toledo, they should be able to do it here.
If re-elected, Hartman would not automatically keep her presidential seat. She would have to be selected again by her council colleagues in January.
We have some other great programming here on WTOL 11 Plus. In a new episode of Chasing the Game, Chase Bachman sits down with Whitmer High School head coach, football coach, Justin Keller.
Justin, thank you so much for coming in and doing this. Just appreciate it. How's life? How are things, man?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Things are busy.
Yeah.
Things are really busy, but I appreciate you having me on today.
Absolutely. You guys are wrapped up week 2.
Yes.
You guys are going into week 3. What's the energy like in the locker room? You guys are 1-1, right? Just what's the energy like?
Yep, not bad. Obviously, we ran into a juggernaut in Detroit King on Friday night. But overall, things are moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I know the last thing you guys probably want to do right now is look in the rear view, but I have to ask you, after that week 1 win, just how incredible was that? I know I talked to you right after the game, but for that to be your first career win, I mean, just how incredible was that? I mean, after years of being an assistant to finally be the head guy and to get a win in that fashion over Dublin Coffin.
Yeah, well, I'd like to think that first one was going to come at some time, obviously, but for our season and for our team, that first one was so important because, you know, I knew week 2 we were going to have our hands full with King, and I knew how important it was to start the season 1-0, knowing what we were going to face week 2. No one wants to start 0-2, and fortunately we were able to get that first one. So it meant a lot, and it was special getting that first win under our belt.
Yeah, you got the ice bath, I think, after the end of the game. How miserable was that water?
I am not a fan of cold water at all. Anyone that knows me knows, like, I'm not getting in a swimming pool if it's at least 80 degrees. I am not getting in, but it was pretty cold.
Yeah, I'm the exact same way. I would never be a coach just on that alone is the potential Gatorade bath. I think I bumped into your wife after the game who told me about that. She's like, he does not like cold water. Don't give him a Gatorade shot. So you have to be prepared for that for the rest of the season. And anytime you win a game, you got to be on the lookout for it, right?
Oh, it better not happen every game. Better not happen every game.
Elise, it was your 20. That was the other thing that made that game so special. Is it was your wife and you's 27th wedding anniversary. What's that like? Your relationship with Elise? What's it like being with your wife for however long you guys have been together? Just what's that relationship like? 27
years. Yeah, no, it's been awesome, and this wasn't the first opening day. We've had our anniversary fall on that date, and I as soon as I got the job and was looking at the schedule, we knew for a while now that was going to happen. But no, she's been awesome, and the other thing that was really cool is. It's been well documented. Last year I spent the year in the radio booth. Well, my son Riley took my seat as the color commentator on the radio for Whitmer Radio too. That so he was broadcasting his first game and got to broadcast that first win. So that made it a little extra special too.
Well, you can watch the full episode of Chasing the Game in a few minutes on WTOL 11+.
All right, from there, we want to talk a little bit about what we experienced today weather-wise, because that was a return to summer that we seem to have lost and moved straight to fall, and now we're kind of like, is it going to stick around? Right.
One more day before we see another cold front that does come into the area, so highs will be back into the lower 80s as we get into Wednesday. It'll be a warm, dry day. Chance of rain in much the area does need it. We'll be back into the area late Wednesday, right around 7 o'clock or later. And then the chance of cooler weather is really going to sweep in Thursday, Friday, back into the lower 70s. Windy Friday. We're going to get a secondary cold front that comes through Friday, and that will drop us back into the 60s for the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. All totaled, any rain that we do see late Wednesday to Thursday is going to be around 1/4 to 1/2 an inch total. And then next week, Monday to Tuesday and Wednesday, low to mid 70s will return.
It's like September hit. My neighbor's Halloween decorations are out. There's Halloween
getting ahead of
candy
it
at the
this
store.
year.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, let's pump the brakes here.
And you want a real slap of reality. Chris was telling me yesterday he's already seen something else out at the stores.
You've seen Christmas decorations.
I knew it.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like, we're in the Burr months, September, October. Everyone's a little excited.
It creeps in quickly.
It does.
Thank you so much for spending part of your day with us here on WTOL 11. Remember, this is your home for more than just news. You can stream our full lineup of local content anytime you want.